Hi YouTube friends, it's Victoria from Victoria Makes. How are you today? Hope you're well. Thank you for stopping by. Today I'm going to do a quick craft and it's going to be to use these tins up. Now these tins are usually coffee tins, this is chai latte. They're very useful actually, and they have a plastic lid so you can make all sorts of storage solutions with this. Now this project is just to make a decorative hanging flower container, so that you can actually hang it up from anywhere and put some little flowers in. But you could actually just do this project as well by just covering these tins, using the lids and using them for storing things. So the same principle applies. It's just a case of using up your leftover fabric scraps and covering these, and they make really sturdy containers and storage tins as well. So it's a shame just to throw them out, even if it's just for recycling, if you can put it to good use. So very, very simple. Choose the fabric or cardstock, thickish paper or fabric will do. You'll need some PVA glue and some scissors, and you can do this with your children or grandchildren to make a lovely gift to give someone, or just use it to use up your fabric as just a craft to do. And then obviously I'll show you later certain ideas what I do with these for hanging them around the garden. So you can either do a template of it by using a little bit of paper and measuring how much fabric you need. So lining up the tin on the piece of paper and then with a pen or pencil marking it off. This one I'm going to do is going to be a fabric covered part. Again, if you've got some really decorative paper, you can use some pretty paper as well. So get a rough idea of the depth of the fabric that you need and also the length. This isn't long enough, so I'll make it slightly longer. And then out of your fabric, just cut out your template. It's as simple as that. If it's going to be for the garden, say, you can go with a rustic feel, and you don't have to bother about the edges fraying because it'll look nice. I'm also going to rip some of this fabric up and use it as like a hanging string, so it will look a little bit frayed, and actually the nature of this would look lovely anyway. And as I say, you need some PVA glue, so get yourself like a little tin or a saucer or something and put yourself some PVA glue in it, and then let's get sticking. Right friends, so I brought you down so you can see what we're doing, and I'm going to get myself a little bit of this PVA glue. You can get this online, you can get it from The Range, Hobbycraft, The Works, everybody does it. You'll need to put quite a thick layer of the PVA glue onto the pot just so that it really sticks down. And I'm not sure what fabric you're using, but you may find that your fabric, when it's wet, the design underneath may actually show through. So you need to make sure of that. It's got to be thick enough so that you won't be able to see all the print on the tin. So if it's paper or it's fabric, it's the same principle. So what I'm going to do is just paint the tin, put a lot of the PVA glue onto the tin right up to that top edge. Remember, PVA glue is fantastic, it just dries clear, doesn't it? So don't worry about if it goes all over. And I'm just going to literally put this big thick section first and then start off the fabric. Get that first section stuck down. Make sure you put that fabric just to under the rim, right to the top, and you can use the edge of anything just to make sure it's stuck down correctly. And the reason being is you've got a plastic lid, as I mentioned, and if for any of the projects that you want to use that plastic lid, then you'll need that, because if you go right to the top, it'll start pulling it off. So make sure it's really just to the very rim only, and get all your edges stuck down. Very important this, otherwise it will dry crinkly. Right, make sure again it's not slipping and sliding, and keeping it tight. Now you'll see that that's a little bit too long, isn't it? So I'm going to trim that off later on. So very simple. So this is really easy craft, something you can do with, as I said, your children, grandchildren. It could be a lovely present to give to a teacher as well, to put all the pens in on their desk. So it could be a nice original teacher's gift at Christmas or Easter or end of term, etc. And it doesn't cost hardly any money. And I'm sure the teacher will really appreciate the time and effort that's been put in. But it's really good as well to do things like this with kids and getting more crafty. Nothing like a bit of messy craft for kids as well. But also for the kids and us as grown-ups. Very, very calming. Just about getting a lot of glue on, and then when you get to the end, back more glue on that end bit. It doesn't matter if it just slightly overlaps, because of course you will be gluing it all down. Now what you want to do now is a time to really pull it and make sure that there's no gaps and loops, and it's nice and flat with the tin. But this fabric seems to be okay. I can see a little bit of white there, but you know, so far so good. Now you really need some really sharp scissors for this, and these aren't very sharp, so I'm going to try my best. I might go and get another pair that's sharper. I'm just going to hold it down while I trim it so it doesn't move, because obviously with the glue still being wet, the fabric can slip otherwise. So hold it on the top as you trim the bottom. It doesn't matter if it goes over the edge, because you could stick it on the bottom as well, which might be a good thing. It might be better to do it a little bit longer so that you can stick it all down underneath. So the edges are longer and they go over the edge, stick down on the base. You can use also little clips as well while you're drying things off. And when you're happy and it's very flat, then you can put it aside to stick. Now this particular one I am not using as a storage pot. I'm going to be using it as a hanging pot and putting some flowers on it. So what I can do carefully is put this lid back on, catching all the fabric inside it. Just move around a bit, you see, when it's gluey. Push this bit in. Just a bit of manipulating, that's all. Wait until it dries and then we'll manipulate the bottom later. Also, you could actually do this, roll it to make sure that it's all flat as well while you keep your eye out on it. Make sure no bubbles form, and if they do, try and rub them out again. Then what we need to do is make a little bit of a hanging strap, if you like. And all I do is I just cut some of the fabric and measure it. We'll have two of those. Two little very thin strips of fabric, and what we want to do is have them the same length and stick them one side and the other with the glue. Put lots on, because obviously this is going to have to hang the pot, so it needs to be very secure. We'll leave that on the side now to dry, and we'll crack on with another one in a different fabric. So same principle applies. Grab your piece of fabric. That'll be a good piece, that end bit, won't it? And then away we go again. So we're going to again glue it all down, wait for it to dry. Right, so what we're going to do is leave those all to dry now. Right guys, so I'm going to actually do another one with paper like we mentioned before, but this one's going to be just for pencil pot holders. So again, I've got some nice papers in here, and what I do is I keep all sorts of nice pretty papers, designs, cutouts and things, all paper stuff in a box, and then I can come back and use it for crafts. I've got quite a few floral ones in here because I just love floral. And let's see what I've got. I did buy a pack of these several years ago from the range, and they had beautiful floral and stripy sort of designs in. Really lovely. I think I might do this one because that's beautiful, isn't it? So what we need to do is measure up, and what I'm going to do is use it this way if it fits. Oh, it doesn't, that's a shame, because I would have used less of the paper that way. But if it goes this way, we'll be alright. Let's have a look. A4 should fit comfortably, yes. Lovely. So what we'll do again is glue all around the edge, stick it down, and then we'll cut it and then glue it on the base, and then the lid will go on, and that will just be for pencil pots, desk tidy, or to store things in as well. Again, another simple craft, doesn't take long at all. You can easily do this again with the kids. Glue in a pot, measure up the depth that you need, about 2 centimetres deeper, so that you've got something to stick on the bottom. You know, you can fold it over then. As I said, these are simple crafts, really free to make with children, and personalise things as well for their room, you know, and if they have made it and had fun in it, they'll use it, won't they? Put all those little pencils in and store things. You could do, several of these, and all different designs, and use them for storage for kids' stuff, you know, little paints, wax crayons, pencils, sharpeners, and you have the fun of actually personalising it in the colours as well. So what I do is I'll just put glue all the way around, just a very thin layer, and then we'll stick on the paper. And again, with it being wet, you'll have a lot of room and time to manoeuvre it into place before it dries. We're going to put the paper again at the rim and stick it down as flat as possible, smooth it over, make sure that paper is right up to the rim, holding it down, smoothing it as you go. And because you're going to put that lid back on for this, possibly, you don't want to overlap it, smooth it down. This is much easier and quicker with paper. Look how different it is. Get the excess off, put plenty of glue in and stick that end down. And again, you're going to have to leave that now until it dries. And the thing with the paper, would be good to do it with the fabric as well. Overlap it so you've got excess over the edges, and then just snip it ever so often so that you can stick it down underneath easily. Then plenty of PVA on these ends, and then just stick it down. You can actually, if you want to, get a disc of card, the same measurement as your lid, and then stick it on top if you require. Trace that round onto a cardboard, stick a piece of this onto the cardboard, and then stick it all down, so when you actually turn it over, you won't see the base. It'll be like that, but covered in this paper. Okay, push it down so it's nice flat on the edge, and that is ready to go. You could also spray this if you wanted to, a different colour, blue or pink, or paint it a different colour, or cover the top bit in this. So I'm going to leave that to dry. So let's come back to this one now. These are, it's not dry, it's still wet, but let's try and put some glue on this now and see if we can get it to stick down a bit now. We need a lot of glue on it, as I said before. Hopefully start to manipulate this down and under. It might take you 2 times to get it stuck down. The good thing, as I said before, with the PVA glue is that it dries clear. And it's a perfect rainy day craft. Cheap and easy crafts. So friends, this is the little pots that I've done. And they're hanging up now. I'm quite pleased with them. And they're just a fun little craft that you can show the kids something to do and make for cheap. So this one, I've popped some little fake flowers in, and that one was floral, and it's just hung up on the dresser. And this one is another one. There's a little bit of a bumping on here, I don't know where that's come from, but like I say, it's very important to press it down. When it dries, keep pressing it. It must have just been a little bit of a raised bit of the glue. And then this one, I've simply filled it with pens. It's a useful storage item. So I hope you agree that they're worth doing, and it's ideal to do with the children, grandchildren, you know, as a project as well. And they're nice when they're hung as well. You could hang them inside, you could hang them outside, and it makes for a little colourful decoration, doesn't it? So thanks for watching. Hope it's given you some ideas to use up these little cylinders instead of throwing them away. And I'll see you again soon in another video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now, friends.